There was an idea to bring together a group of remarkable people to see if they could create something new. So when cinematic universes got too boring, we could make one that they never could. Basically, I had me and chat over a couple of streams put together a cinematic universe using ChatGPT. We had decided to start with 5 heroes, as we felt like that was a pretty solidly round number to just start with. We had decided that our heroes were going to be born of a nexus event of sorts, and that their powers are going to be based off their greatest fears. These decisions were created through a community tab on a poll that I had made asking folks about what we should do when it comes to the universe. So let's go and meet our heroes. So first, let's learn about Spectra Surge. Spectra Surge is a 28-year-old Icelandic male, and with his greatest fear of claustrophobia, naturally he has the power of creating force fields and controlling the flow of energy. Number 2, we have Chrono Warden, a 35-year-old Japanese male who is afraid of losing loved ones. So naturally he has the ability of time manipulation. Now for the record, we wanted to have Chrono Warden have a set of rules that we base his time travel on, so that way we're not making comic book bullshit as we're making these, movies. So we implemented his time travel rules to be that of Avengers Endgame. So when he goes back in time, he creates alternate timelines. That way he doesn't create paradoxes. Third hero, we have Pheonix Guardian. Pheonix Guardian is a 32-year-old Egyptian female who has the fear of fire. So naturally she's pyrokinetic. Number 4, we have Aero Sylph, a 23-year-old Brazilian female. This is probably the first character you probably thought of with this premise. She's acrophobic, she's afraid of heights, and so naturally she not only has the ability to fly, but she can even control air currents. And lastly, we have number 5, Psionic Oracle. Psionic Oracle is a 30-year-old American male from New York City. He has the fear of the unknown, but also then it has telepathy, telekinesis, and precognition. Now for the villains. There are many villains in this universe. The decision was made early to have each hero have 5 separate villains each. A sort of fearsome 5, if you will. There are about 25 villains and about 30 characters in this universe, and to save on time, I will describe the teams of villains for each hero and go more in depth with the more interesting points. The main villain during Phase 1, our Loki to the Marvel's Phase 1, is the personification of chaos. Then the finale of Phase 1 is all the villains reuniting under a new villain that ChatGPT created completely unprompted as a mysterious puppet master of sorts, like Manipulator, who works in the shadows. Someone we should keep an eye out for in the future. And that's literally all any of us know of this character, even myself. First, going into Spectra Surge's villains. Spectra Surge's villains all have the same powers, though different personalities, motives, and MOs, so they all use their powers differently. Their powers are invisibility and shadow manipulation, and their names are Shadow Maven, Revelation Ringleader, Chaos Conjurer, Control Freak, and Order's Bane. Next, Chrono Warden's villains. Personally, my favorite group of villains. The leader is the personification of death, or the Grim Reaper, if you will. The other 4 are comprised of a direct servant of death able to manipulate the age of objects and people, named the Temporal Enchantress. Then we have a spatial manipulator, the Spatial Warlock, matter manipulator, who is Molecular Sculptor, and lastly, the only character that is entirely created by chat and myself. That is Dr. Imperfect. Dr. Imperfect is a shapeshifter with unknown origins, who, like all the other villains, has their powers based off their greatest traits. All we know of the origin is that Dr. Imperfect was somebody with low self-esteem and very low self-image. Therefore, Dr. Imperfect worked very, very hard as a youth to manipulate, lie, and act as somebody else. This turned into their greatest skill. Then becoming, when the neutron star explosion happens, to have the power end up being that of shapeshifting. Next, we have Pheonix Guardians villains, and all of them are based on elements. So, where Pheonix Guardian, our hero, is got control of fire, we have Frost Monarch, control of ice, Terra Blaze, control of earth, Aqua Scorch, who controls water, Zephyr Crystal, who controls air, and Flora Inferno, who controls nature. Now, for those of you who are wondering why all these characters, or most of these characters, have fire sort of in their name, I tried like 5 separate times to remove this or edit them so that way ChatGPT would give us different names, and ChatGPT would not listen. So, yeah, we're sticking with the half fire, half whatever their power is type names. So, number 4, we have Aero Sylph's villains. All of Aero Sylph's villains are technokinetic in some way. Originally, the idea was to have their abilities be that they're just super smart or just all technologically based. But ChatGPT took this to make them technokinetic. And to be honest, this actually sounds much cooler. The decision was made by Chats to have them all work out of airlines, skyscrapers, or various flying machines. Our 5 villains for Aero Sylph are Skyscraper Serpent, Aeronaut Anarchist, Gale Guardian, Helix Hijacker, and Nimbus Nomad. And lastly, we have the Psionic Oracle. The Psionic Oracle has a team of villains that is similar in concept to that of Spectra Surge, where all the characters have the same powers, but with different motivations. And that is the case for 4 of the villains, though Psionic Oracle's leader, or the leader of Psionic Oracle's villain team, is the Intellectual Inquisitor, who is purely intelligent, the smartest character in this entire universe. And with that, the other 4 are essentially like Charles Xavier's, mind manipulation. So the other 4, Emotion Emissary, Strategic Savant, Psychic Phantom, and Cognitive Catalyst. The movie begins with a breathtaking display of the neutron star explosion, echoing across the world. In Tokyo, Haruki Nakamura, fearing the loss of loved ones, is engulfed in the radiant waves. Meanwhile, 5 distinct villains, unbeknownst to each other, experience the surge of energy, making the beginning of their extraordinary journeys. Haruki discovers the time manipulation abilities during a confrontation with temporal anomalies caused by the neutron star explosion. Haunted by visions of losing loved ones, he grapples with the moral implications of manipulating time. As Chrono Warden starts understanding his powers, the villains unknowingly converge on Tokyo, drawn by the temporal anomalies. Haruki learns about the existence of the villains and their unique abilities, realizing the potential danger they pose to the fabric of reality. Chrono Warden faces death. Realizing the entity seeks to maintain a balance between life and death, the confrontation challenges Haruki's perspective on the consequences of manipulating time. The villain's motives and powers are gradually revealed. Temporal Enchantress serves death. Spatial Warlock disrupts space. Dr. Imperfect infiltrates society. And Molecular Sculptor creates chaotic matter constructs. Haruki discovers that the temporal anomalies are converging towards a central point, forming a nexus that threatens to unravel reality. The villains, unknowingly guided by chaos, converge on the same point. Chrono Warden, driven by the fear of losing loved ones, confronts the villains in death at the temporal nexus. The battle ensues across multiple timelines, with each villain using their unique abilities. Haruki, facing the ultimate test, finds a way to seal the temporal nexus, preventing a catastrophic collapse of reality. The villains, realizing the consequences of their actions, disband, leaving the timeline intact. Chrono Warden, now more experienced and understanding the delicate nature of time, reflects on the events. The villains, scattered across timelines, set the stage for future confrontations. In a hidden chamber, Chaos observes the aftermath, revealing that this was just the beginning of a grander plan. The movie opens with the radiant aftermath of the neutron star explosion, casting a celestial display over Reykjavik. Einar Magnusson, an astrophysicist plagued by claustrophobia, experiences an overwhelming surge of energy bestowing upon him the power to control energy waves and force fields. Einar, initially unaware of his newfound abilities, discovers his power during a moment of panic in a confined space. Faced with a claustrophobic episode, he inadvertently releases a burst of energy, creating a protective force field around him. Shadow Maven uses her powers to infiltrate and manipulate, framing Spectra Surge for crimes he didn't commit. The city turns against the hero, amplifying Einar's claustrophobic fears as the walls seem to be closing in on him. As Spectra Surge battles the illusions, he discovers the true nature of the villains and their unique abilities. Each encounter reveals a layer of the grand plan orchestrated by an unseen force. Revelation Ringleader exposes hidden truths, causing a city-wide uproar. Chaos Conjurer manipulates the environment, creating havoc. Control Freak disrupts technology, plunging the city into darkness. Order's Bane exploits societal fractures, escalating tensions. Spectra Surge, fueled by the desire to dispel the shadows, confronts each villain individually, facing their unique abilities. The battles escalate in scale and complexity. As the conflicts unfold, Spectra Surge uncovers the mastermind behind the villainous alliance, a mysterious entity manipulating chaos itself, orchestrating events from the shadows. Spectra Surge, driven by the strength of his character and determination, counters the chaos-infused powers. The villains, realizing the manipulations, turn against the unseen force, severing the connection. Reykjavik, now free from the clutches of chaos, begins to heal. Spectra Surge, hailed as a true hero, reflects on the changes faced and the unity needed to protect the world from an unseen threat. In the darkness, Chaos observes the aftermath, plotting its next move, setting the stage for future conflicts. The radiant aftermath of the neutron star explosion casts its glow over Cairo. Amina Farouk, an archaeologist, haunted by the fear of fire, experiences an intense surge of energy, unlocking the power to control flames and manipulate heat. Amina discovers her abilities during an archaeological expedition. Triggered by a collapsing tunnel, instead of succumbing to her fear of fire, she harnesses the newfound power to protect herself and her team. As Phoenix Guardian embraces her role as a hero, each villain discovers their powers independently. Drawn to Cairo by an unseen force, Amina, fueled by her fear, transforms the flames into a symbol of protection. Frost Monarch freezes the streets of Cairo, challenging Phoenix Guardian's control over heat. Terra Blaze shapes the earth to disrupt the city's stability. Aqua Scorch floods the streets, creating chaos. Zephyr Crystal uses winds to evade capture, and Flora Inferno orchestrates a botanical uprising. The Phoenix Guardian, facing her fear head-on, confronts each villain individually, learning to control her pyrokinetic abilities with finesse. The battles unfold across iconic Cairo landmarks, the clash of elements painting the city in a surreal display of power. As the conflicts intensify, Phoenix Guardian uncovers the existence of chaos, the unseen force guiding the villains. Amina realizes the villains are mere pawns in a larger cosmic game. Driven by the desire to protect Cairo, Phoenix Guardian offers redemption to the villains. As they turn against chaos, the combined elemental forces become a unified front against the unseen adversary. Cairo, now free from elemental turmoil, witnesses the unity between Phoenix Guardian and the redeemed villains. Amina reflects on her journey and the strength found in facing her fears. Chaos, observing the events, acknowledges the setbacks and adjusts its plans, setting the stage for the next phase of its cosmic scheme. The neutron star's energy cascades over Rio de Janeiro, painting the city with ethereal hues. Isabella Silva, a skilled environmental scientist with a fear of heights, is caught in the radiant waves, unlocking the power to manipulate air currents and take flight. Isabella, initially unaware of her newfound abilities, discovers her power during a near-fatal fall. Fueled by her fear of heights, she instinctively manipulates the air to slow her descent, realizing her potential to soar above the city. Aero Sylph embraces her role as a hero, soaring above Rio to maintain balance. Unbeknownst to her, the villains, drawn by their newfound abilities, converge on the city, each with their unique motives. Aero Sylph faces off against each villain individually, challenging her control over air currents. Skyscraper Serpent manipulates the city's structures. Aeronaut Anarchist disrupt the skies. Gale Guardian conjures storms. Helix Hijacker controls information, and Nimbus Nomad becomes an elusive foe in the clouds. As the battles unfold, Aero Sylph realizes that the villains are connected by an unseen force, chaos. The cosmic entity influences their motives, orchestrating a symphony of chaos in the skies. Aero Sylph, understanding the interconnected nature of her foes, works to unite them against chaos. The villains, realizing the manipulation, turn against the unseen force, combining their powers for a final confrontation. As chaos retreats, defeated by the combined efforts of Aero Sylph and the villains, Rio begins to recover from the turbulence. Isabella reflects on her journey, finding strength in overcoming her fear of heights. Chaos, adapting to setbacks, adjusts its plans, setting the stage for its next phase in a cosmic scheme. The cosmic energies of the neutron star explosion cascade over New York City. Alex Reed, a neuroscientist with a fear of the unknown, is caught in the radiant waves, unlocking the power to delve into minds and manipulate thoughts. Alex, initially bewildered by his newfound abilities, discovers his powers during a subway commute. Overwhelmed by the minds around him, he inadvertently reads the thoughts of fellow passengers, unraveling a tapestry of emotions and secrets. Psionic Oracle, grappling with the cacophony of thoughts in the city, realizes the existence of villains, each awakening to their own mental powers. The villains, drawn by an unseen force, chaos, converge on New York, each with motives shaped by their abilities. Psionic Oracle faces off against each villain individually, challenging his own control over telepathic abilities. Intellectual Inquisitor seeks hidden knowledge. Emotion Emissary manipulates feelings. Strategic Savant outmaneuvers. Psychic Phantom creates illusions. And Cognitive Catalyst alters perceptions. As the battles unfold, Psionic Oracle uncovers the influence of chaos, the unseen force guiding the villains. The cosmic entity shapes their motives, orchestrating a cerebral symphony of chaos in the minds of New Yorkers. Psionic Oracle, understanding the interconnected nature of the villains, works to unite them against chaos. The villains, realizing the manipulation, turn against the unseen force, combining their mental powers for a final confrontation. As chaos retreats, defeated by the combined efforts of Psionic Oracle and the villains, New York begins to recover from the mental turbulence. Alex reflects on his journey, finding strength in facing the unknown. Chaos, adapting to setbacks, adjusts its plans, setting the stage for the next phase of its cosmic scheme. The heroes scattered across different corners of the world each experience an unsettling disturbance in the fabric of reality. Simultaneously, the villains, influenced by their individual motives, discover the existence of others like them. Chrono Warden, Spectra Surge, Pheonix Guardian, Aero Sylph, and Psionic Oracle are drawn to a mysterious convergence point where the fabric of reality seems to ripple. With uncertainty and curiosity, they cross paths in a moment that feels both fateful and unnerving. The villains, recognizing a shared cosmic influence, receive mysterious invitations to a clandestine meeting. Skyscraper Serpent, Intellectual Inquisitor, Frost Monarch, Shadow Maven, and others gather under the banner of an enigmatic figure who promises them unparalleled power. The heroes, united by circumstance, introduce themselves, sharing the stories of their origins and the challenges they've faced. Meanwhile, the villains, guided by a charismatic leader, plan to unleash chaos upon the world, each with their own motives and fueling the grand scheme. The heroes, now aware of the imminent threat posed by the united villains, embark on a global quest to thwart their plans. The villains, using their unique powers in concert, create a symphony of chaos that challenges the heroes' abilities and teamwork. The clash unfolds in iconic locations across the globe. Skyscraper Serpent manipulates structures in Rio. Frost Monarch freezes the streets of Reykjavik. Intellectual Inquisitor delves into the secrets in New York. Shadow Maven creates illusions in Tokyo. And Gale Guardian conjures storms in Cairo. As the battles intensify, the heroes begin to unravel the grand scheme orchestrated by the enigmatic leader. They realize the cosmic energies that granted powers to both heroes and villains are part of a larger plan, one that threatens the balance of the universe. The heroes, drawing strength from their diversity and unity, devise a counter-strategy. Aero Sylph manipulates the winds to counter storms. Psionic Oracle disrupts the mental cohesion of the villains. Spectra Surge harnesses light to counter illusions. Pheonix Guardian controls fire against the ice. And Chrono Warden manipulates time to disrupt the villains' coordinated efforts. In the climactic battle, several villains face defeat. With the sacrifice of a few to save many, Intellectual Inquisitor, Frost Monarch, Skyscraper Serpent, and others fall, while the enigmatic leader retreats into the shadows, vowing a return. The heroes, battle-worn but victorious, witness the dispersion of the cosmic energies. As they catch their breath, they recognize the transient nature of peace, knowing that new challenges will arise. In the aftermath, the heroes reflect on the cost of victory and the fragile nature of the balance they strive to maintain. The enigmatic leader, revealed to be a pawn in a greater cosmic force, sets the stage for the next phase of the cosmic saga.